In March, our committee, you'll recall, our committee held its first oversight hearing on the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law's drinking water and wastewater provisions. Today, we're going to expand upon those efforts, focusing on the law's drinking water programs. Nearly 2 years after becoming law, Bipartisan Infrastructure Law is helping to make clean water a reality for millions of households, for schools and child care facilities across our country. And as the benefits of this law continue to become a reality in more and more communities across America, our committee is anxious to hear from stakeholders about how you believe this work is progressing, and if we can make any improvements. As my colleagues have heard me say again and again, everything I do, I know I can do better. I think everything we do, we know we can do better. Investing in our nation's water infrastructure is deeply personal to me. Growing up in West Virginia and Virginia, my sister and I lived near rivers and streams like Beaver Creek, right across, not even 100 feet from our house. But just outside of Beckley is a stream that was contaminated by septic tanks and other waste. Later, I would attend Ohio State University as a Navy ROTC midshipman, and Ohio State is about a 2-hour drive south of the Cuyahoga River, which famously caught fire in 1969. I remember I was down in Pensacola, Florida, as a brand new, newly minted ensign, reading on the news that the Cuyahoga River caught on fire. I couldn't believe it. But it did, and the question is what we're going to do about it. Both of those experiences ingrained in me the importance of water in our daily lives. And from protecting our beaches and wetlands to maintaining our service lines and other ports, clean water is critical to our health and our nation's economy. As many of us know, Matthew 25 calls on us to care for those who are in need, the least of these, including giving those who are thirsty something to drink. I believe that includes a moral obligation to ensure that all Americans have access to clean, safe, and reliable water services. Fortunately, I'm not alone in that belief. Shortly after taking office, President Biden invited Senator Capito and me, along with Senator Cardin and others, to the Oval Office. He tasked us with leading the charge on updating our federal infrastructure investments, including our highways, our bridges, and our water systems. As many of you may recall, we rolled up our sleeves. We got to work after that meeting. Senator Capito, Senator Duckworth, Lemus, Cardin, Kramer, and I, along with our staffs, worked together to draft the Drinking Water and Wastewater Infrastructure Act. We advanced this bipartisan infrastructure legislation out of our committee unanimously and later passed it in the full Senate by an 89-2 vote. I will never forget that day, and an 89-2 vote on something that came right through our committee and something that we're enormously proud of. That water bill, combined with our committee's historic highway legislation, served as the foundation of the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, which President Biden signed into law in November 2021, a day that many of us will long remember today. What a day. To date, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law is the single largest water infrastructure investment in our nation's history. Through that law, Congress is investing an unprecedented $55 billion to improve drinking water and wastewater systems in communities across our nation, including replacing lead service lines and addressing emerging contaminants. And it was fully paid for. Still, there's more that needs to be done and more that can be done. And my hope is that today's hearing will allow us to gain a deeper understanding of how the implementation of those historic funds is going. Our hearing also presents us with the chance to explore future opportunities to improve our drinking water infrastructure and to make sure that the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law's programs are benefiting communities with the greatest need too. And while I'm excited to hear from all of our witnesses, I want to take a moment and welcome back Keisha Powell to the EPW committee. And for those who don't know, Ms. Powell testified before our committee in 2021 when we were drafting the water portion of the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. And her testimony was instrumental in moving that package forward, and we look forward to hearing your perspective on the law's implementation today. As I mentioned, this is not our first hearing on examining our nation's water infrastructure needs. It won't be the last either. And as you'll recall, earlier this year, we had a hearing that with APA Assistant Administrator Radhika Fox. I love to say that name, Radhika Fox. and other stakeholders to discuss some of these programs. Just this past May, Senators Padilla and Lummis also held a water affordability hearing at the subcommittee level, both looking at low-income water assistance programs and what additional authorities or changes might be necessary to make those programs function even better. Later this month, that same subcommittee will be reviewing tribal water needs. And I hope that this series of hearings will help us inform us of what more we can do to ensure that these programs continue to work even better as we face changes in our climate, our population, and our infrastructure needs. And with that, again, we're grateful to greet our panel of witnesses. We look forward to hearing from each of you today, and as you bring the diverse experiences representing state perspectives, city water utilities, and rural water.